Hey, what's up, guys? On this channel, I made a series of videos that was on Islam, and when I read the Quran. Long story short, these two guys I met in my downtown city here, they were talking to a lot of students and questioning people about their knowledge of Islam, and one of the topics that came up was about what is jihad, and some Canadian guys were questioning these guys, both named Muhammad, by the way. There's two of them, both named Muhammad, about what jihad was. So I kind of chimed in and had a good conversation with them, and actually came out of it with a bit of respect for their message, and they gave me a Quran, and I read the Quran. Okay, so I made past videos about this, and to be honest, these videos were some of the most most people have watched and interacted with. But my channel, it's not even about that. Like, that's great that that did happen, but I'm not about the trying to get like most views or whatever else. Although part of me is like, if I all of a sudden became a Muslim scholar, maybe I would have been, I'd be a bit internet famous. But jokes aside, so I'm going to revisit this because, long story short, I came back to one of the videos I made back in the day and commented on a few comments that were made on that video. And there's an underlying theme from obviously Muslims on that video, and I don't want to group all Muslims in the same category, because I know there's different categories of Muslims from different countries and things. I know there's Shia and Sunni, there's Wahhabi, there's Alawite, there's Ismaili. There's a lot of different types of Muslims, right? So I don't want to group them all in the same category, in the same boat. And I'm not going to group them in a negative sense. What I am doing, though, is from a historic standpoint, from one of the major problems a lot of people had on that particular video was calling out that Islam, but this goes for all pretty much every religion in general, even Christianity, okay? But specifically Islam was one that was like kind of by the sword, okay? There's no questioning that it was a conquering. It was medieval times. Medieval times are a bit rough. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that died, a lot of battles and things, warring tribes, even between different tribes of Islam, okay? Sunni and Shia. But as well with Jews and Christians and that type of the sort. But a lot of people had an issue with the fact that I brought to their attention the historic fact that Islam was one that tried to convert different cultures, okay? There's a mass conversion that tried to happen, and in that conversion, that's how they literally conquered, which is, again, not even necessarily a bad thing. It's like understandable. Like, if you conquer a new land, you want to everybody should be on the same page, correct? So you have this book, the Quran, which tries to get everybody on the same page, and you try to get people on your side, essentially part of the same team. And that happened with Christianity. That's happened all through history, where through theology, people get ascribed to the same team and the same page, where all of a sudden that's another way to conquer people without the sword, okay, with the pen. Now, I got a lot of people who are Islamic who denied that never even happened, and I was a bit surprised. But I think it is also, I understand why they're doing it, that they're downplaying actual historic events. Now, I will outline down below, if anybody questions that this ever happened, I'll outline every specific instance that I've found. But at the same time, I will also say that Islam has also allowed different religions to be present in their cultures for a long time as well, okay? So it's not like it's one or totally or the other. I'll flip the other side and say that, look, they let Jews live in their cities or their countries for a long time. There's a lot of Jews in Syria and Lebanon. There's a lot of Christian, like Lebanon, Syria, and Egypt and things. But There's also other places which are a bit more fundamental Islam, where such things would not be allowed, and I'm not going to ignore them. So here's the bottom line. There's instances in Islamic history where, through conquering, which Muhammad, he was a financial warlord, prophet, okay, they conquered areas, and through either you had to convert, you had to either pay a tax, a jizya is called. Now, not everywhere, but some instances of this has happened. And then the other one is, if you didn't convert or pay, then you'd be persecuted at very least, but essentially die too. You'd be imprisoned, you'd die, you'd be persecuted, or you'd be like not in a good situation. Bottom line. So I think a lot of people who are Islamic now and modern day Muslims would deny that happening. But I'm here to say that that did happen historically. I'm not saying that modern day Muslims would want that or do that. But at the same time, don't modern day Muslims want to not necessarily convert, but spread Islam into the Western world? Wouldn't you want to not convert me necessarily, but persuade me towards the Quran, like a lot of you in the comment section did, that I read? And respect to that. I respect people trying to persuade me to that. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm not necessarily demonizing that. But like a type of, it is a form of conversion, is persuasion. Persuading to convert to something that you think is just. No problem with it. So why are people arguing that in the past Islam did not try to convert people? Come on now, let's be real. But at the same time, I'm going to finish this with a good note, on a high note, with Islam and what I read with the Quran, which is, I feel it's very just. They have just principles, and I feel that they have that the Quran has a way of, outlining things, that outlining a pattern that your everyday person should follow to have a better quality of life that is like that works with a greater society. And I think pieces of literature, specifically ones from back in the day, is actually it served its purpose. So you know what I mean? Like, and if you were to run a society, think about this. Say you were a sultan or a whatever that was running a society back in the day with millions of people, like in 1200s or whatever, right? You would want a book that everybody follows, that has some coherence in it, and that's what I was trying to say. And that's what the Bible does, that's what the Quran does, and things is get people on board on the same team. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Okay? Seriously. And just thought again about the Quran, like there's a lot of things I really like about it. There's a lot of things that I'll just like straight up say, didn't really impress me. That's fine. I'm not Muslim. I don't give a shit. I'll say what the fuck I want about whatever I read, anything. But the thing is, I'll say it how it is. And I love that people did respond to me. And to be honest, I'm no Muslim scholar. I'm not here, spending months on end reading the hadiths or whatever else, right? I just gave it a read through and gave my perspective on it. So I respect everybody who gave their input. And again, this some of the videos that actually did the best on my channel. And it's not even like I'm all about numbers, but they did well. So thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what your comments are on this video. Respect. Peace.